you wanted to change the word need to rationale, you could certainly do that.
Well, the CFAC wondered why we weren't allowed to give a report to the board after 13 weeks of discussion.
And so I don't know for sure the reason or the structure of the CFAC committee. I do know that the committees that I'm involved with, it is a advisory committee only. It's not a democracy. It's not a committee to come up with whatever. It's an advisory committee. And so I believe, Dave, that was the intent of this one as well, was it's an advisory committee, not a vote, not a whatever. This is where it's at.
No, I understand.
Yep.
But we were not even allowed after 13 weeks to present.
Yep, and I can't tell you that, and that's not what we're discussing tonight. We're discussing the referendum and what you do and don't want to vote for, and kind of go from there. So I don't know how the CFAC committee was developed, how it was handled. That was pre-Don.
Yeah,
but I'm just telling you that had I been in charge, I would have specified very clearly that the CFAC is not a voting organization. It's not a democracy. It's strictly to go out and help us get some input. So this is the
input from the survey. If we could just get right. I just want to, because it was your last screen. I don't want you to go back too much. So you sent out the survey, and you were here for the survey.
I wasn't here for the survey. I was here for the results.
Okay. So, and we were asking if we can get those results, because we only got a portion of the results.
You got what we hired the company to provide.
But I asked school perceptions,
okay.
And they
what we hired the company to provide is what you got.
So $16,500 for some of the results, but not all of the results.
The summary of the results is what we were hired to do. That's what pre-Don, but that's what the committee, or that's what the survey was hired to do, was to give us a summary of the results.
Right, so I talked to Steve.
Okay, so I'm going to cut this one off, Judy. Judy, I'm going to cut this one off. Judy, I'm going to cut this one off, and then we're going to go on. And if you have any questions for me, then I'll be right back there, and I'll gladly answer any questions that you have, but it's not designed to be a debate on whether the CFAC did it or right or correctly. We're going to talk about what's on the ballot, and if you have any questions about that, these are the architects, the construction, the finance, and Don, and we'll try to answer any questions you have, and that way the people who are the experts can answer those questions. I'm going to have one more quick one, and we'll go on.
I was also on that CFAC. And basically, what I'm seeing in the presentation, I saw this at the council meeting as well, and I don't think the district is being very honest with how this all came about. A lot of the decisions that were made at that committee, we were told that we were there to put together the needs. On the third meeting, a list for each school came like this, things that we never even talked about. Objective needs like dated doors and stuff like that. That's where'd that all come from? And the whole thing, the district always asks why they don't get the support of some of the other districts. And maybe it's because we're not real honest with our people and how we share the message and where we get the information from and the information in itself. One big question I have is this thing seemed to be railroaded through on the whole 25, well, we even got one of the Bray architects to say that this was something that was decided in the 25-year plan. But what kind of 25-year plan doesn't have any kind of a plan to pay for it?
Well,
I work in business.
The plan to pay for it is what we're going to vote for in April. That is the plan to pay for it, is whether the public is wanting to pass a referendum or not. And if you say no, then we go back to the drawing board and have something different. But the plan to pay for the referendum is, that's what the referendum is the plan to pay for these projects. That is the plan. And so there is no other mechanism in school finance to develop and save money above and beyond what we do with a referendum, okay? We can save a token amount, and they have, and so they saved about $3 million, and actually it was closer to $4 million, because we used $750,000 of those dollars to buy some additional land, but.
That was in Jackson?
That was in Jackson.
Yeah, that also concerns me, because how come you left that house surrounded? How come this school is built around a house? There's one residential house left there, and
that
a
was
$74 million project, you guys didn't have the money to buy that house?
and that was before Don as well. I believe there was negotiations, and at that point in time, the cost for the house was more than the district wanted to spend. And so and like I said, I don't know that, but I believe from what I've been told is that house isn't necessary for part of the project, and the cost of purchasing that property was more than what the district was willing to spend.
Your same school around a single family home, how's that gonna work for the zoning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I talked to the owner of the home, and he was never approached by the district.
I am the owner of the home.
Okay, and I
As
talked
far
to
as
him.
property goes, basically, we're moving away from this site because we have too small property, we're confined, and we have traffic issues. And in that CFAP committee, we addressed the fact that we're moving to a site that is once again undersized what they recommend. It's not only is undersized, but it's cut up by the residential property. It's got utility access on the south side where you can't do anything. And there's a lot of traffic there with the rec building. So you're moving away from what you said was a problem to an area where you have a lot of the same problems. And how does that justify?
So I'll show you in a second the proposal where the land is going to be, and that'll show you the land amount, and so where we have. And so when they first started, we had about 7 acres, which was the bare bones minimum for a K4 building. Okay, we bought another 6.5 or 7 acres, and so now we have enough that would be large for any K4 elementary. Okay, and so that would be where we're at wise. Facility wise, like I said, I have no idea what your house is or isn't worth, and so you'll see on this slide where we're at with facilities. I'm not, if we got the cost for that house was what we felt it was worth as opposed to what you felt it's worth, and I don't have a clue. I don't know what it was appraised at. I don't know any of those numbers. I just know what I had when I walked in the door, and that's this property.
I just know the house sat for sale for a long time, and nobody did nothing.
So this is the current Jackson Elementary, and so I just want to make sure and everybody is on the same page. At one time they said, well, it's a 100-year-old building. Well, it's not a 100-year-old building. There's a section of Jackson Elementary that's 100 years old, this piece right here. We still use it, but it's a small piece of the building. Okay, the vast majority of the building was built from 1955 up through 1968. That's the vast majority of the building is from 55 to 68. Each one of the colors is a new addition to the building. And so, in some of those cases, not all of those cases, in each one of those colors, that's where you have elevation differences as well. So when they talk about handicap accessibility, that's part of it because those colors represent different elevations as well as different buildings. The high school need or rationale, whichever term you want to use, this is what they did for the high school. They looked at the lack of safe and secure entrances. They looked at our current CTE, science, STEM, and art programs. We looked at major systems, including mechanical, electrical, plumbing, ventilation, were at or exceeding the life expectancy, and the libraries and classrooms in certain areas would like to get modernized.
So I have a question on this slide too. I'm sorry, I just don't know who addressed over there. That's why I'm kind of bringing them all out.
Yep.
It looks like in November of last year, we got $190,741. $190,741 from the state to put towards safety and security?
Yep,
Even though we only requested 73,000?
we requested a couple different times, I believe.
Okay, so that's what, so is any of that money being put towards it? And
Dave, what is that money going for?
That money is going for camera upgrades, visitor management systems, upgrading. Really, it's not going into this building for relocating the entrances. I mean, that dollar amount to do that is pretty high. So upgraded security system, visitor management, upgraded PA. There are a lot of things that are going into this building.
Okay, and what's the purpose of upgrading the entrances when all the entrances seem to have that? I don't know, I've never been here before besides tonight, but they all have that key card fob system that make them locked anyway, unless you have a key fob to get in.
Right. The problem comes actually when visitors come in. Typically, a design now requires somebody entering a school, they'll go into kind of a vestibule area, and there really is no access to the building from that point. So they're released into the office, they sign in, get their credentials, and then they can go out into the building. Right now, we're unable to do that with the way that the building is set up.
So I'll show you a diagram in a little bit, the way the new flow will go through.